So I'm just creating a blank project, giving it a name. Shoot. And yeah, just blank, no content, all that jazz. Cool, hit create. So what we're going to be doing here? Well, we're going to be creating a classic side scroller shoot 'em up type game, similar to Defender, Galaga. There's loads of them, loads of these types of games. You'll have seen a whole bunch of them. You'll probably, hopefully, have played a few of them. So while my Unreal's loading, I'm just going to grab a few assets. I've gone to Poly Pizza, which is a really good website for just grabbing, low poly assets. What's nice is you don't need to create an account. You can just go ahead and hit download and grab assets. So in this first video, we will create our spaceship, get our simple spaceship movement going on, and yeah, take it from there. Okay, so now Unreal's open. I don't actually need all this landscapey stuff. I'm actually just going to create a new basic level. That should help with the running of things, and it might be useful to organize our folders a little bit. So we could create like a new folder for our static meshes, new folder for blueprints and materials and all of that. So I've got my meshes folder, and I'm just going to bring in my 3D model vehicles. Oops, no, that's fine. I got some errors because I just dragged the whole folder in, which has got a Blender folder file in there, hence the errors. So I've dragged these in. These should be older vehicles. You'll notice that some of them have got the wheels detached, and that could be useful for some things, I guess. But right now, where's my key spaceship? I think I'm going to use this one. This one will be my main player spaceship. And you'll notice it's got an atlas. Did I remember to download the atlas? I don't think I did. I thought it would come down with the FBX. Let me just grab that real quick. Oh, it did bring in an atlas. Those are just empty materials. Okay, I'm just going to open up the atlas material and rewire the correct texture in and save that, and that should hopefully update the ship. It has. Alternatively, you could just get your atlas once it's come in, right click, create material, open it up, and that'll work. You just then assign it to atlas 1. Yeah, so now we've got a spaceship and it's got color on and stuff like that. I'm going to go to my blueprints folder. I'm going to create a new folder in here for the player. And inside this folder, I'm going to create a new blueprint class. And it's going to be... what should we do? I guess... do we want to make use of... no, let's do it as a pawn. I was just thinking, do I want to make use of the character controller components? Because there is some nice stuff in there, but we'll just keep it basic for now. Player ship underscore BP. Hit enter, open that up. And what we're going to want to do is import that model. So go back to where your models are and drag it and drop it. We can go back to make sure you go back to your blueprints folder. We can even drag it into level to sort of get an idea of scale, make sure that the scale's okay. At which point, if we press play, it's not really going to do anything. It's going to try and spawn a player here with a camera that we can look around. We actually don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to destroy that player start for now. So I just clicked it and deleted it. And I'm going to click on this ship. And I'm going to just search, you see where it says auto obsessed player. I'm just going to set that to player 0. And then there's an input, also receive input as well, disabled, set that to player 0. And your camera should sort of snap inside the player. Let's also quickly add a camera then while we're doing this. So I'm using the Unreal 4 classic view. you might notice that if you go to load layout, you might see I'm using UE for classic, UE might be default. You can just add and just search for camera here, or you can search for the camera in that search bar. So just grab yourself a camera actor in, and let's adjust it to where seems like a reasonable view of that scene. I like to sort of, you probably want to have the character offset a little bit. So it's not so too close to the center of the screen. Yeah, I think that's potentially looking alright. With that camera selected, on the right hand side, we're going to want to auto receive input for player 0. Let's have a look. Maybe have it a little bit further out because the spaceship still looks a bit big. Yeah, give or take, maybe that. Cool. Once you're happy with your camera, we can start to get some spaceship movement. So inside our spaceship, we're going to go to the event graph, and what we want to do is add some input systems. So at the moment, we've not got any input system that exists. Now, Unreal have recently switched to a new input system. But if I'm honest with you, I don't know, I'm probably not going to switch. I'm going to use the old system still for now, just because I find it simpler. So I'm going to go press Edit, Project Settings, and then I'm going to scroll down on the left hand side until I see Input. And here you can see we've got action mappings and axis mappings. So let's create an action mapping, and we'll call this one Shoot. And what button do we want that to be? I'm going to do a left mouse click and maybe a space bar. So for shoot, left mouse click or space bar. And let's also add an axis mapping. And we'll just call this one Move Up. And we'll create a one for Move Right. Move Right. So up is going to be W. Oops. And we're going to add one for S. Set U to be -1. Move right will be D. Oops. That's the. What have I done? Stop it, John. There you go. An A and -1. So set up your inputs. So we want to be able to move up and we want to be able to move left and right. So notice, like I say, we've got the minus scales. Make sure you get those. So if we go back to our blueprint space now and find a bit of space, and if we right click, we can actually search for those keywords that we typed in, such as move up. Make sure you grab the axis event, and you can see this gives us an output and it gives us an axis value. So that'll be, obviously, if we're pressing W, it'll be 1. If we're pressing S, it'll be -1. Now, what's going to be the best way to use this? It might actually probably feel quite nice with physics, because then we'll be able to get more of a smoother sort of stop up and down. So I'm going to test it with physics rather than just doing like sort of like a linear movement. So I'm going to, with my spaceship selected, that is a long name, I don't like that. I'm going to turn on simulate physics, but I'm going to disable gravity. Disable gravity. And we'll just give that a test. So I'm going to drag reference it. I'm going to rename that real quick. Spaceship. That name is ridiculous. Cool. And let's add force. So I believe it'll just be Z. So I'm going to right click on the force and split it. And I'm going to drag off axis value, do a multiply, and wire that into there. And let's just give this a test. I'm going to times it by 100. Let's take acceleration change. I never know what number it should be off the top of my head. Oh, we've collided with a floor. So if we hold W, we are moving up. And we press S, we're moving down. Let's try timesing that by, I don't know, 800. See, I think what's quite nice about that is, like I say, it's got that linear movement. Sorry, it's not like a linear movement. We've got like an acceleration and deceleration. What we might want to do though is also tweak that linear dampening. Let's set that to, 1, and sort of see what difference that makes. Feels like it stops a bit faster, right? So at this point, like I say, we might want to tweak the numbers a little bit. I'm actually going to go to like maybe 1,400, make it feel a little bit less heavy. So I think that's quite nice. Feels a little bit, like I say, a little bit less heavy there. And let's do the same thing for our input move right. So move right. Now essentially we can actually just copy and paste these. Control C, Control V. The thing is, it's not going to want to go into Z. I think it's going to want to go into X. Again, test it and see what the numbers feel like. Oh, it's not X. I'll go that much for sure. It must be Y. Cool. So we've got some movement there. I think that's looking alright, isn't it? Again, tweak the values as you feel appropriate. I'm going to give it just a little bit more up. Yeah. Actually, what we could potentially do is it might actually be a little bit more optimal to do it like that instead. Yeah, that feels quite nice with that speed. Alright, we're happy with that. I'm happy with that anyway. So that's your basic ship movement. Now there's a couple of things we'll probably want to do to refine this. I feel like having the ship tilt a little bit might be quite nice, like as it's going up or as it's turning. The other thing is we probably want to lock it off from being able to move past a certain point. Now, what I'm actually going to do is I'm kind of just going to cheat for this. So I'm just going to grab a cube. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make that cube a lot bigger. Yoink! And I'm just going to put that cube like up here. And essentially that's going to be like a stop us from going too far. And what I can do is I can set this to be hidden in game. So I'm just searching for word hidden and typing in actor hidden in game. Yeah. And we can just sort of place you like up here. And now if we hit play, it doesn't look like there's a roof there, but it sort of stops us from going too high. Notice the ship is sort of like rotating in a weird way. What we could do is, again, we can turn up that angular dampening. Or what you might actually potentially find better is we could just, for now, we could just lock the rotations. So I'm just going into constraints, and I'm just going to lock those rotations. So now the ship can't, like, it's not ever going to really like rotate in sort of a weird way. So now we've got that. I'm going to just duplicate it. So I'm holding Alt and I'm just going to drag it down. And let's see how that looks. That one probably would be a little bit higher. That was actually fine. Alright, quite happy with that. Now, when I say cheat, because what potentially we might want to do, and Yeah. In fact, I think we probably will do, because otherwise we're going to come into errors, you know, like issues with, like if we put one of these in front of the player to sort of stop it from going like past, you know, this edge of the screen, it might create issues where our future, like our bad guys that are going to come in this direction, will not be able to sort of go through that, and then we'll have to start messing with the colliders and stuff. Maybe that's the better way. I don't really know. We'll just sort of have to learn by doing. But what I'm tempted to do now, real quick, is just for sort of the sake of test, is let's, you know, we'll just do this on the take, because I don't know if we're going to keep this. So I'm going to get reference to my spaceship. I'm going to ask it to get world location. And I'm just going to print this real quick. So I'm only actually interested in the Y value. And I actually want to, what I'm trying to find out is what is the sort of furthest I want my player to be able to go. So maybe I don't want my player to be able to go past like sort of this point. So that's 2,800-ish, 2,700-ish. So I'm using that print string just to try and establish at what point, you know, we want the player to stop. So if I'm saying 2,800, what I might do is on the move right is, let's ask, shall we do this way? We could ask it a question. We could either sort of say here, if it's greater than 2,800, don't allow the input, but let's find out. Let's test it. So we're going to say, if you are greater than 2,800, so let's do an if. So I'm just going to hold B for branch, or you can right click and get branch. So if you're less than 2,800, so if you're greater than 2,800, or if you're less than, do this. Maybe we should, let's set this to a minus number. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag this left and promote it to a variable. Move right speed. So, right, if you are greater, then move right speed should actually be a negative number. So I don't know, negative 500. Right, what is the default? Was it by default? It was 1,400. Yeah, okay, we'll test that. Whereas if you are not negative, if you are not greater than that number, then go back to our original speed, which what it was 1,400. 1,400. Okay, let's test that. So if we go past 1,400, the speed sort of should stop us, and it kind of pushes us back a little bit, and it almost feels like this little nice invisible wall. Ooh, okay. I just noticed an error with that. If we hold left, that because that's then going to a minus number, it then sort of goes forward. Huh. Okay. You know what? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my settings, project settings. I'm gonna add a move left. I feel like that's gonna be the simplest solution right now. So I'm gonna get rid of the negative on there. I'm just going to add a move left. Right. So just making this up as I'm going, trying to figure out what's going to be the best solution. So let's get our move left, and if we're moving left, just like we did before, we're going to do that, and that can't both go in there, can it? Ooh. Thinking. I suppose for the time being, till I think of a better solution, we'll just do this. Alright, let's test that. So if we move left, we can go left, move right. Okay, everything's working, it's fine. If we go past the point that we don't want to go, and that still works, go past that point. Cool. Okay. For the time being, that's going to work. I might try and think of a cleaner solution later, but for now that'll work. So what we've got now is we're restricted by invisible bounds. Left actually feels quite slow. Might speed that up. But yeah, at this point, yeah, tweak your movement, refine it, get it all looking good. And I think that's going to do for this first video, just getting the movement sort of system set up. I know it was a bit messy, but I guess that's just what happens sometimes when you're recording and thinking and doing this all at once. Cool. All right. See you in the next video.